Right now at 5, the Neosho County prosecutor is removed from the Patton murder case.
We've got heat advisories across the region in effect until 7 p.m. I've got the details.
Also, after 50 years and a quick series of blasts, folks say goodbye to the Asbury coal plant.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Amber Jenkins.
And I'm Chloe Arroyo. Well, Amber, how about those hot temperatures?
I've been barely managing.
It's crazy. It's pretty eventful because we've got the heat alerts. This is our last alert day. And then we've got storms this weekend, but also the chance for showers on the 4th of July.
Hey.
Wow.
Freedom.
Yes, can you believe it? Can you believe it? Now we're gonna go real quick just to our graphics while I fix my mic super quick. So here's a look at our alert days. Our forecasted high, 100 degrees today. Heat index values upwards of 110 degrees. Mighty toasty. So make sure that you are going to stay hydrated throughout the day. Our heat advisories across the region in effect until 7 p.m. this evening. Got that across the board, so make sure that you're once again staying hydrated into the afternoon and evening hours. Here's a look at our current conditions. 7th and Rangeline. Right now it's 80 degrees and it's only 5 in the morning. Feel like temperatures in the mid 80s, 84 degrees. Our dew point hanging around at 71, which is really muggy. So making those feel like temperatures rise and continue to increase throughout the days or throughout the hours. We've got temperatures in the upper 70s, lower 80s across the board. 76 for Pittsburgh, Stockton 77. Yates Center, you're also hanging around at 77 degrees as well. Planning out your morning, we've got temperatures in the 80s, rising up into the 90s, 92 degrees by 11 a.m. So we're going to warm up pretty swiftly. Now coming up here in a bit, we're going to talk about the rest of the forecast, including the chances for rain heading into this weekend.
Thank you, Chloe. That sounds pretty good. The hunt for a Newton County man has ended. Authorities have been looking for this man, Sean England, who was wanted for first-degree assault and felony armed criminal action. On June 10th, court documents show England assaulted a victim with a baseball bat and wounded an individual as he fired a weapon. Authorities consider England armed and dangerous. Yesterday, the Newton County Sheriff's Office announced that England have been taken into custody. No further information have been provided at this time. A Southeast Kansas woman entered a plea of no contest as a part of a plea bargain to drop several other charges. Authorities say Alexis Metcalf stole from the attorney's office where she worked at in Fort Scott. She originally charged with 2 counts of theft of services and 16 counts of forgery dealing with checks in August 2022. Metcalf entered the no contest pleas for 1 count of theft. The state agreed to drop all other charges. According to a recent study by the CDC, more than 1 in 5 LGBTQ youth attempted suicide in the past year. It's a national stat that hits close to home. Luke Nugent was a teen from Carl Junction. Those closest to Luke says he was bullied because of his sexuality. It's been 10 years since Luke took his own life, but his friends and family still feel his impact. Seeing Luke's influence after all these years make Luke's mom proud.
It gives me hope that love like Luke gave is really a lasting impact on people that they carry for the rest of their lives, even if he's not in their life anymore, you know, and it will forever inspire them to spread that kind of love too.
I feel like it's more accepted now to be a part of the LGBTQ community like he was, but I feel like everyone's not accepting it, so there's still some outside voices.
Luke Nugent's mother promotes the importance of calling the 9888 suicide hotline when times are hard. The Kansas Attorney General has removed the Neosho County attorney from the prosecuting a murder case. Parsons, Kansas area native Dakota Patton went missing in April. His body was found in a field in May. Authorities say he was shot to death. Clint and Kimberly Nyberger were arrested for Patton's murder and are now awaiting trial. Patton's family raised concerns about previous professional connections between the suspect Clint Nyberger and the Neosho County Linus Thurston. A court order was filed earlier this month to remove Thurston as prosecutor in this case, and now the state attorney general has stepped in to approve that court order. A quick series of blasts and a Southwest Missouri fixture for more than half a century comes to the ground. As a crew employs the Asbury power plant, Thursday morning's implosion used almost 1,700 pieces of dynamite and other explosives. Authorities say the blast safely brought down one power plant, one air pollution control system building, and two original concrete and brick stacks in less than 20 seconds. During the summer, the area will be cleaned to prepare for its future use.
You know, the Asbury plant will live on somewhere. It may live in hundreds of different places in the future.
It's not, again, something that you see every day, and it is a part of our history. It's how we generated electricity for a long time, and it's an old way of generating electricity and bringing in a different way.
Commissioned in 1970, the plant generated coal power energy. The plant was removed from service in March 2020. It was replaced by the North Fork Wind Farm, which is within sight northeast of the Asbury plant. That's a look at this morning's top news, weathers, and stories in the first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, one PSU track and field star goes pro. We'll have who that is in sports. Plus, people 25 and younger, or Gen Z as they're also known, spend most of their time on social media. We'll have how some people are trying to save Gen Z from their smartphones, and how dogs are helping with PTSD. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
The past couple months have been something else for Pitt State track and field's Cordell Tinch. The first weekend of May, he won all 4 events he participated in at the MIAA Championships. 3 weeks later, he did the same at the NCAA Division II Championships last weekend. He set an NCAA record at the Arkansas Grand Prix. And yesterday, he announced there will be no further collegiate competitions in store because Tinch is turning pro. This comes just over a week before he's competing in the USA Track and Field Outdoor Championships with the best athletes the country has to offer. And his now former head coach Kyle Rutledge says these recent accomplishments by Tinch have not only put him on the map, but also his school.
Well, it just helps everybody in general. It helps Pittsburgh State as a school, as our athletic department, everybody in general. So it's just great publicity for us, and we're just extremely proud of him and what he's done for this university and our program.
Speaking of championships, Joplin will be the host for a couple upcoming junior college national titles. The Joplin Sports Authority announced yesterday that Missouri Southern will host the 2024 and 2025 Division II Women's National Championships. This is another step forward in putting Joplin on the map to host similar events like this in the future. The JSA has previously hosted the Division II Men's Golf Championships. The women's basketball tournaments at MSSU will feature 20 teams competing over the course of 6 days. To local baseball, 100-degree temperatures don't stop the Joplin Outlaws. They play host to the Jefferson City Renegades last night at Joe Becker Stadium. Looking up to make ground in the standings, entering last night, the Renegades are first in the Mink League South, while the Outlaws are in last. Joplin, losers of 3 straight, comes into last night facing the first place Jefferson City Renegades, starting in the first inning. Colton Reynolds gives this ball a ride to deep left field. It bounces off the fence. The RBI double gives Joplin a 1-0 lead. Now later in the inning, Jarrett Nilsson hits this ball hard through the left side for an RBI single. Nixon Brannon scores. Joplin leads it 2-0 in the first. Top of the second inning now. 3-0 Outlaws. Charlie Rogan hits this ball into center field. Cade Shupp comes in to score on the play. Jeff City gets on the board after the RBI single, but Joplin still leads 3-1.
into the 4th inning. Garrett Shun hammers this ball on a line drive. Cole Hill scores, and Byron Blaze comes in diving at home plate and is safe. Outlaws run away from this one. Joplin defeats Jefferson City 15-2. Now, still to come, spending by the royal family has gone up, costing taxpayers in the UK more money. Plus, a check of the 7-day forecast when the KOAM morning news returns. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to our morning show. It is 5:15. We've got lots to talk about, including the last alert day. We've had 3 in a row with those hot temperatures, but thankfully this is the last one before we see a bit of a cool down. Forecasted high today, 100 degrees. We still have those heat advisories across the board, except for our 3 further western counties. We're still on the toasty side though, so keep in mind these heat advisories are in effect until 7 p.m. this evening, so we could see triple-digit temperatures heading into this afternoon for the majority of our folks. Temperatures right now hanging around upper 70s, lower 80s. Nevada 78, Lamar 78 as well, Monette 73, Chanute you're hanging around at 79, Bonita 78 degrees right now. So we're slowly beginning to warm up as well. Planning out your morning, we've got temperatures rising rather quickly, 92 degrees by 11 a.m. In terms of the precipitation rate, be 0. We'll be pretty calm heading into this morning. The only thing, those temperatures rising pretty quickly, and with the dew point as well hanging around in the 70s, that's going to make us feel even warmer. Today's high, like I said, 100 degrees for Joplin, so still in the triple-digit range, but even from then, aside from that, we'll be in the upper 70s until 6 p.m. for a long time. So we'll have those warm temperatures hang around for quite some time before we see a little bit of a cool front into tomorrow. Our low tonight, 77 degrees, so still hanging around in the upper 70s. Dew point will still stay pretty significant until we head into tomorrow. 86 degrees by the time we hit 10 p.m. So very warm by the time we get into the late hours. Here's our future track for right now. We've got that strong southwesterly wind. This will be a pretty strong jet stream that we'll see. That'll bring some rain, much needed rain, that we see early Saturday morning. Those clouds will begin to dissipate heading into the evening hours. And we'll see some spotty showers here and there afterwards, but aside from that, nothing too significant, nothing severe, but once again, that much needed rainfall that we will expect to see. We'll see Monday morning, you'll wake up to temperatures in the upper 60s. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Above all, we'll see the chance for rain this weekend. Seeing also an isolated chance for rain into Tuesday, as well as your 4th of July. You know, there's a little bit of a typo on here, I'm not going to lie. 4th of July is actually Tuesday, fair warning. So hope you got your 4th of July plans in action, but make sure that you're keeping an eye out on that chance for rain. Well, it's no secret that people 25 and under, or Gen Z, spend the most time on social media. And a recent study shows that a higher use of social media is associated with poor well-being. Mills Hayes shows us how some are trying to save young people from their smartphones.
You can check just how much time you spend on your phone per day by going to your settings. Mine says that I've spent about 3.5 hours per day on average, but I spoke with some Gen Zers who tell me they spend about triple the amount of time on their phones.
Embarrassingly, I spend probably like 6 hours average a day on my phone.
I would say 9 hours of the day.
And it's kind of like atrocious. Some days it's like 11 hours.
The McKinsey study shows 35% of young people around the world say they spend more than 2 hours a day on one thing.
Just a lot of social media, yeah.
Across generations, people report more positive than negative impacts of social media.
Connecting with different people that you probably, like, you'd never meet, like, in real life.
It can be kind of fun to just, like, you know, just curate, like, yourself in a way that, like, is very, like, how you want it to be, which is kind of cool.
But 27% of Gen Z reports a negative impact, more than any other generation.
It impacts me, like, socially. I'd be talking to someone and then, like, immediately want to go on my phone at some point.
It's a trap. Like, it's very easy to get caught up in it, and I have, especially like looking at myself and comparing myself to other people. It's not fun.
The study found most of the negativity revolves around fear of missing out, body image, and self-confidence. In Minnesota, nonprofit Live More, Screen Less received state funding to work with teens and young adults on digital well-being.
I had a front row seat to seeing the changes that technology brought into the classroom in positive ways, but then also the role that it played in the mental health of my students.
We are not anti-tech. We are about how do you thrive in this digital age.
Live More, Screen Less says that they hope to expand all schools and after-school programs in Minnesota and maybe across the country one day. But they also say that the burden to help young adults and teens fall on parents, many of whom gave their preteens smartphones without any kind of guidance on how to not get addicted to them. Which brings us to our question. Have you ever taken a break from social media? Yes or no? We would love to hear from you. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote on the KOAM app, Facebook, or scan the QR code. We'll be back with the Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning. Although drugs approved a decade ago can cure hepatitis C, a study shows most infected Americans still can't get them. The drugs are called direct-acting antivirals because they block proteins the virus need to copy itself and spread. Sold as pills, they cure an astonishing 95% of the patients who take them. The study tracked the fates of 1 million Americans diagnosed with hepatitis C infections in the decade since the drugs were introduced. And overall, only 1 in 3 were cured over that time period. A nonprofit organization in Florida is giving vets another chance to freedom with the help of some furry friends. Alita Pascara has more on the story.
Nice, very nice.
When it comes to navigating everyday life,
be sure you pull down when you say down.
There can be loud distractions. Triggers not visible to the eye.
You want a treat? Come on. No.
And for some veterans, thoughts and stressors that can't always be blocked out.
Why do you have a service dog? What's wrong with you?
We always think of combats, but there's other situations that you will come across in, military service that can cause trauma.
It's why Canine Partners for Patriots wants veterans suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder to know
not all disabilities are visible, that's correct.
And there are furry friends who can help.
These dogs are no different than a wheelchair, crutches.
They can smell the rising adrenaline levels, your cortisone levels rising in your body.
Veterans come from all over the state to work with their service dogs at the nonprofit's facility in Brooksville.
She's using her military voice today.
Training includes navigating scenario rooms set up like the doctor's office.
We wanted to have the environments where our veterans are most likely to go when they have to go places in public.
But the organization has grown considerably and now needs more space. The plan is to expand and hopefully break ground on a new facility next year.
We're going to be trying to make these much more realistic.
Real practice in real life scenarios.
You need to get them relaxed where the brain can actually take input.
So even more vets and their service dogs can continue this important training, highlighting the power of the paw.
Not only are they, bonded, but now they're this team that is well-oiled and working.
That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We've got heat alerts across the entire region in effect until 7 p.m. I'll have the details coming up.
Right now at 5:30, they say learning never ends, and that's true for some high schoolers who attended the Health Academy at Freeman.
We've got heat advisories until this evening. I'll have all of the details.
Also, the Carter School District announces these schools is getting a new baseball stadium, all thanks to a $2.5 million donation.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:29. I'm Amber Jenkins.
And I'm Chloe Arroyo. These temperatures have been incredibly toasty, haven't they?
Very.
Yes, and thankfully today is our last alert day, but we still have much on the agenda in terms of chances for rain this weekend.
also have 4th of July on Tuesday. Do you have any exciting plans?
I don't have any plans. I'm probably working, but I'm happy to be American. I mean,
there you
at
go.
least I'm American, so.
There you go. That's always something to celebrate about. Temperatures are actually right now hanging around in the 80s, but here's a look at our alerts. We've got heat advisories across the region except for our further western counties. Those are excluded from this heat advisory, but temperatures are still mighty toasty across the board. We'll reach triple digits for the majority of the region. We've got temperatures right now hanging around in the 70s, upper 70s, lower 80s. Joplin 80, Carthage 78, Monette 73, Cassville 74. Miami, you're hanging around at 75 degrees right now, and it's still pretty early, so we're warming up pretty swiftly. Starting your day, we'll warm up even more into the 80s, upper 80s by 10 a.m., and then we'll dip into the 90s by 11 a.m. just before lunchtime. So if you have those outdoor plans, maybe outdoor lunch, make sure you're limiting your time outdoors, staying as hydrated as you possibly can. Planning your day today, we'll see temperatures in the triple digits, 100 degrees forecasted for Joplin. That is nothing to dismiss by any means, but even then we'll hang around in the upper 70s by 6 p.m. around dinner time. So you can tell I'm probably pretty hungry because I mentioned both lunch and dinner today. Temperatures in the upper 90s by 6 p.m. Now your evening, we'll see temperatures dip down into the upper 70s for your low 77. We've got 93 degrees by 8 p.m. and even 86 by 10 p.m. So by the time we hit sunset, we'll still be in those really warmer temperatures with the dew points as well being pretty high. Now, coming up here in a bit, I'll give you the full details on the rest of the forecast, including the chances for rain this weekend.
Thanks, Chloe. Employees from a Joplin business donated more than 1,000 pounds of pet food and cleaning supplies to the Joplin Humane Society. Alorica employees collected and paid for the supplies. Officials say this donation will go a long way for the shelter.
It's just things that we can use every day, things like dog food, cleaning supplies, and these are just going to be a tremendous benefit to the animals and the people that are here at the shelter.
So some of the donations came from our employees where they just donated their money and we went out and purchased the supplies. And then a lot of our employees just brought in dog food, cleaning supplies, things like that, and just dropped them off at the site.
The donation was made through Alorica's nonprofit, Making Lives Better with Alorica. The Carthage School District announced a $2.5 million donation to build a new baseball stadium. The district's old stadium was declared unsafe by the city's engineer in February. KD and ML Steadley's Trust, Bank of America, is donating the money for the new stadium. The district will receive $500,000 in installments over the next 5 years. The new stadium will be on the northeast corner of the high school campus. A construction schedule has not yet been finalized. The Joplin Public Library hosts an art exhibit themed around eating disorders and body image. It's called Reflections of Hunger. There are 30 pieces, all of which showcase the lived experience of local residents dealing with eating disorders and body image issues. Organizers hope this exhibit will help fight the stigma around these issues.
Sure. Eating disorders are the second deadliest mental illness out of all mental illnesses. And it's where people start to really struggle to have a healthy relationship with food, but also their bodies as well. And I think that's something that all of us can relate to in the culture that we have. And I think that's what our exhibit is about, so that everybody can see themselves in it and understand it.
The free exhibit will be open through the end of July. Freeman Hospital gives high school students a unique experience this summer. Freeman Health Academy includes job shadowing, CPR certification, treatment scenarios, and more. This teaches the students healthcare and patient care, all while allowing them to experience the career path they desire.
At the end of the academy, they do a Stop the Bleed course, which is what they're getting ready to do now, which is kind of a first-hand triage type class. And they always have the option to do a basic life-saving skills certification the Friday following the academy. So it's 4 days of job shadows, tours, speakers, being exposed to all the different careers in Freeman.
Applications for next year comes out the beginning of April, and students should contact their school for more information. A Joplin tech company gives people a glimpse into the future. On Thursday, an automated technology company hosted a Smart City Symposium in Joplin. It featured industry experts from different companies discussing new tech innovations designed to improve the everyday lives of residents.
Create some dialogue and introduce some new concepts to the local economy and the local leaders, elected officials, city planners, mayors. We just invited all the regional city folks to come in and just say, hey, here's what's out there, here's what's possible.
The free symposium was held at the Joplin Family Worship Center. Another symposium, this one at Crowder College in Neosho, showcased student research projects. It's a part of the Upward Bound Summer Academy program. The projects were a part of 16 different classes ranging from crime scene investigation to agriculture to graphic design. Officials say the academy gives high school students valuable skills.
History isn't always what we think it is. Sometimes it could just be up to a person to think about what they can think really whatever they want. We learned that the main difference is the past is what actually happened. History is what we interpret it based on the evidence we have available to us.
Upward Bound officials say they served 300 students from 37 high schools in Southwest Missouri. A Pittsburgh child welfare agency is celebrating Family Reunification Month. On Thursday, TFI hosted a pinwheel planting ceremony. The pinwheels are yellow in honor of Family Reunification Month, which recognizes the efforts to help families stay together in foster care.
All the time is to try to bring those children and their parents back together. So when we have an opportunity to celebrate the instances where that happens, we want to take advantage of that, and so that's why we do this event every year.
TFI officials say they helped reunite 300 families last year. This morning, we are discussing the use of social media.
You can check just how much time you spend on your phone per day by going to your settings. There's some Gen Zers who spend a lot of time on their phone and some who don't. The McKinsey study shows 35% of young people around the world say they spend more than 2 hours a day on one thing.
Across generations, people report more positive than negative impacts of social, but 27% of Gen Z reports a negative impact more than any other generation. The same study found most of the negativity revolves around fear of missing out, body image, and self-confidence. Which brings us to our question, have you ever taken a break from social media?
Let's look at these results. 84 of y'all said yes, and then 16% said no. You know, I can kind of relate to the 84% that did say yes, because I do find myself on my phone a lot, but I did put that setting on my phone where it'll tell me if I've been on there past 30 minutes.
That's a good feature, because it will like tell you and like kick you out the app or something.
Yes,
You said like
you've had enough.
you are done right now.
Yes, it's good accountability for sure. That's what we love to see.
All right, well, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Holy Mammoth, Batman, we take you to Iowa to learn more about a replica mammoth.
Plus, Messi reaches a deal with Inter Miami, which means the star is one step closer to being in the U.S. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch. The U.S. Coast Guard says presumed human remains were recovered from within the wreckage of the Titan submersible. Medical professionals in the U.S. will now conduct a formal analysis of those presumed human remains. The Titanic-bound vessel imploded nearly a week ago in the North Atlantic, killing all 5 men on board. Huge pieces of the sub were hoisted onto a Canadian pier in St. John's Harbor. It was not immediately clear what the pieces were. There are several investigations into the cause of the implosion, including ones led by the U.S. Coast Guard and other by the Transportation Safety Board in Canada. Canada's National Police Force is working to determine whether they need to open a criminal investigation, all which could take months, if not years, to complete. Tracking Mexican cartel drugs network in the U.S. is top priority for the DEA. The agency says most drugs in the country containing fentanyl comes from the southern border. Rebecca Castor sat down with one of the top drug investigators in New Orleans, a city the DEA says is a gateway for drugs to be distributed in other states.
New Orleans is nearly 700 miles from the Mexico border. And while you may not be able to see the cartel here, the DEA says its associates are.
That's the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and the Sinaloa Cartel. And these two cartels are driving the drug overdose epidemic.
Special Agent in Charge Brad Byerly is the head of the New Orleans DEA Field Division, which oversees drug investigations in Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Alabama.
A lot of the drugs that we seize all come from the border, the interstate system. I-10, I-55 in Arkansas, I-30, I-40, I-65 in Birmingham. All of these are major drug trafficking routes.
In a recent year-long investigation called Operation Last Mile, the New Orleans Field Division seized over 147,000 fentanyl pills and 63 pounds of fentanyl powder.
That's enough to take out the metro New Orleans area. We went after what we call the last mile, that being from the cartel to the local distributor.
Nationwide, the DEA arrested over 3,300 drug distributors and dealers as part of the operation. Many of these arrests happening on U.S. highways, similar to this traffic stop turned drug bust in Arkansas.
That pills? That's in 30s. Or fentanyl.
But the reality is millions of fentanyl pills are making it to U.S. cities. The coroner in St. Tammany Parish, Louisiana, sees firsthand what happens when these drugs make it past the last mile.
If you'd like to walk back to the morgue, I can show you the results.
In 2023 alone, 32 of the 48 drug overdoses in St. Tammany Parish include fentanyl. Dr. Charles Preston says the drug is only getting stronger.
We recently, within the last month, were able to identify some fentanyl cousins, if you will, that are generally more potent and more deadly.
Social media is also making things easier for the cartels. The DEA is calling it the superhighway, and they've been able to trace drug deals on at least 45 different social media platforms. Whether you call it soccer or football, fans of the black and white ball can now rejoice. Inter Miami and soccer star Lionel Messi has reached a deal. At a press conference introducing the new team manager, Inter Miami Chief Soccer Officer and Sporting Director Chris Henderson says he hopes Messi will be, quote, ready to go by the end of July. Henderson says the only hang-ups is paperwork Messi has to fill out. The new Inter Miami manager, Tata Marino, previously worked with Messi. The cost of royalty is on the rise. Every year, the Office of the Royals publishes data on the sovereign grant, the amount of the public spending that goes towards royal duties. Between 2022 and 2023, the amount of grant was about $109 million US, which works out that each UK resident pays at least $2 a year. Spending jumped 5% last year, meaning the royals had to dip into the reserves to foot the bill. The monarchy underwent some major events and transitions last year, including the Platinum Jubilee for Queen Elizabeth II, her funeral, and the accession of Charles, which all reportedly added to the tab. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Well, thanks for joining us for this Friday morning. We're heading into the weekend, which means cooler temperatures and a chance for some precipitation, but unfortunately we have one more alert day heading into today. Forecasted high 100 degrees, heat index values anywhere upwards of 105 to 110 degrees. So as you're outside today, keep that in mind. Here are heat advisories across the board in effect until 7 p.m. This includes southeastern Kansas, southwest Missouri, extending into Oklahoma and Arkansas as well. So the majority of the 4 states, except for the 3 most western counties as well, but you'll still be pretty toasty, so keep that in mind. Current conditions, 7th and range line, we've got temperatures in the 80s, 80 degrees as it stands. It feels like 84 because of that dew point, making us feel a whole lot warmer. When you have a higher dew point, typically 70 degrees and above. It's going to make us feel anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees warmer, keeping that in mind in the afternoon hours. Visibility about 10 miles. We've got that southwest wind, and we'll continue to see that southwest wind heading into this weekend. Here's a look at our temperatures while I fix my IFB super quick. Temperatures in the upper 70s, lower 80s. Joplin 80 degrees, Pittsburgh 75, Stockton 77, Yates Center 78, Independence 79 degrees right now. So we're starting to dip into the 80 range into this morning. Speaking of your morning, we'll plan that out for you. Temperatures in the 80s up until 10 a.m. 89 degrees with a few clouds here and there, mostly clear, 92 degrees by the time we get to 11 a.m. So we're going to warm up swiftly, and that's going to continue to persist later in the evening hours. Here is your day for the afternoon. We'll dip into the triple digits. 100 degrees forecasted for Joplin for this afternoon. See temperatures staying in the upper 90s until later this evening. 6 p.m. around dinner time, we'll see 97 degrees. So we'll continue to see those temperatures rise throughout the afternoon into tonight. We'll see 77 for your low, so we'll cool down just a hair. Last night's low was still in the 80s. So, I mean, even only by 3 degrees, we'll take what we can get at any cool rate at this point. Temperatures dipping down into the 80s by the time we get to 10 p.m. So even though it'll be dark outside, it'll still be a mighty, mighty toasty evening for you. Here's a look at your 7-day forecast. Above all, we've got chances for precipitation on Saturday and Sunday, but we'll cool down on Saturday into the lower 90s, 91 for your low on Saturday. But here's another thing to keep in mind. 4th of July on Tuesday. Have those plans outdoors if need be. Don't change your plans, but we have a chance for some isolated showers and storms here and there. We can't rule out a couple thunder boomers throughout the afternoon. Wednesday we'll also have a chance for some precipitation, but above all, look at these temperatures. We're going to cool down into the 80s heading into the end of next week. 87 on Thursday. Friday will be in the upper 80s, and then we'll see another chance for some precipitation next weekend. So lots of rain chances, none of which will be severe, but some could bring some thunder boomers along with that. Coming up in a bit, we're going to talk about the forecast once again. Stick around. We'll be right back after the break.
Is the return of the Ice Age in Iowa, where woolly mammoth bones were recently discovered in the recent years. Now replicas of the extinct giant is being used to educate. Stacey Horace has this sizable story.
They were big.
I'd hate to see that coming over the hill at me.
And furry.
This is a replica.
And called Iowa home thousands of years ago.
Well, the discovery of the mammoth bones in Mahaska County really is what got people talking.
Woolly mammoth bones discovered in the Hawkeye State. Now, a replica of the mammoth mammal is on display in Mahaska County for people to see and learn more.
I knew what it was pretty much right off the bat.
In 2010, John Bogus made the first discovery when one of his sons saw a bone poking out of the ground near a creek. Lots of digging later, they hit the historical jackpot.
An expert from Illinois told me that the one mammoth we found would have been about 3 foot taller than this one. 12 foot tall at the shoulder.
The County Conservation Board now has the bones and uses them for educational purposes. The board invites people to come see the display and learn more about those large animals.
The teeth have shown that there are 3 woolly mammoths for sure. There could be more.
Everybody has an interest in seeing the mammoth bones and knowing that there were bones just like this found at a farm in rural Mahaska County.
Oskaloosa resident Jane Kreutzfeldt was one of the first to see the bones Tuesday. She hopes it catches more attention.
I think people will come from other places to see the mammoth replica.
According to the Mahaska County Conservation Board, the mammoth bones are the first piece of evidence of their existence in Iowa. We'll be right back. Grab a telescope and turn your eyes to the night sky. Friday is International Asteroid Day. The day marks the anniversary of a large meteor impact in Russia on June 30th, 1908. The day seeks to raise awareness of the threat posed by asteroids when they fall to Earth as meteoroids and calls for a massive increase of monitoring of asteroids. Mars has donuts? Well, it appears they have at least one, but not any kind that a human wants to eat. An image captured by a Mars rover Perseverance shows this mysterious donut-shaped rock on the planet's surface. The Mars Perseverance rover, launched in July 2020, NASA says it continues to explore the planet's 28-mile-wide Juro crater for signs of ancient microbial life. The donut is one of the latest objects captured by the SuperCam remote microimager, one of the rover's cameras helping scientists see what's on the planet's surface. Scientists have a new hypothesis as where the rock came from. They say it could be a meteorite or it could be a rock that was brought to by the area by a river channel.
You know, I do apologize. My remote is no longer working, so we're going to stick with this graphic for now. But a couple things to keep in mind. Your heat advisory in effect until 7 p.m. this evening. This is for the majority of the viewing area. Temperatures rising up into the triple digits once again. We're hanging around at 78 in Joplin at 7th and Rangeline, but we're going to warm up pretty swiftly. We'll have a chance for some showers heading into this weekend. Now, we're going to see you all at 6 a.m. here in just a few minutes, and hopefully my clicker will work by then. We'll see you then.
Right now at 6, it's almost time to play ball once again in Carthage as the city gets ready to receive $2.5 million for a new stadium.
We've got heat advisories across the metro. I'll have all the details.
Also, some area high school students get to map out potential career opportunities as they take advantage of a unique opportunity to train with Freeman Hospital over the summer.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Amber Jenkins.
And I'm Chloe Arroyo. How about those warmer temperatures? We also have lots of chances for some rain this weekend.
That's good.
And we also have the 4th of July. Hopefully it'll cool down. Looks like it. Thankfully, it'll cool down just a hair heading into next week. In the meantime, we still have these heat advisories in effect until 7 p.m. for the majority of the viewing area, excluding the three further western counties across the board, but we're still hanging in those warmer temperatures. Right now, we're in the upper 70s, lower 80s. Joplin hanging around at 80, Stockton 77, Neosho 76, Iola 76 as well. Nowata, you're at 79, just creeping up on that 80-degree mark as well. Now, starting out your day, we'll see temperatures rise up into the 80s and down into the 90s by the time we get to 11 a.m. and we'll continue to see that warming trend heading into this afternoon. Your high for today in the triple digits, 100 degrees for today. So mighty toasty heading into the afternoon. We'll cool down heading into tomorrow, thankfully. Planning your day for the rest of the afternoon, 6 p.m. We'll see those temperatures in the upper 70s, so quite toasty even into the later evening hours, 86 by 10 p.m. So we'll still be dark, but we'll still be warm as well. But thankfully, we'll see a little bit of relief with those temperatures dipping down into the 70s as we head into this evening. Coming up in a bit, we're going to talk about the chances for precipitation heading into Saturday, a little bit on Sunday, as well as your 4th of July forecast. That's all coming up in a bit.
Thanks, Chloe. The Kansas Attorney General removes the Neosho County Attorney from prosecuting a murder case. Parsons, Kansas area native Dakota Patton went missing in April. His body was found in a field in May. Authorities say he was shot to death. Clint and Kimberly Nyberger were arrested for Patton's murder and are now awaiting trial. Patton's families raised concerns about previous professional connections between the suspect Clint Nyberger and the Neosho County Attorney Linus Thurston. A count order was filed earlier this month to remove Thurston as prosecutor in this case, and now the state attorney general has stepped in to approve that court order. A Southeast Kansas woman enters the plea of no contest as a part of a plea bargain to drop several other charges. Authorities say Alexis Metcalf stole from the attorney's office where she worked at in Fort Scott. She originally charged with 2 counts of theft of services and 16 counts of forgery dealing with checks in August 2022. Metcalf entered the no contest pleas for 1 count of theft. The state agreed to drop all other charges. The Carthage School District announces a $2.5 million donation to forward a new building for the baseball stadium. The district's old stadium is declared unsafe by the city's engineer in February. KD and ML Steadily Trust Bank of America is donating the money for the new stadium. The district will receive $500,000 installments over the next 5 years. The new stadium will be on the northeast corner of the high school campus. A construction schedule has not yet been finalized. This morning, we're looking deeper into the Supreme Court's ruling, ending the way colleges and universities factor in applicants' race when it comes to admissions. The vote was 6-3 in the case involving University of North Carolina and 6-2 in the Harvard case. Jared Hill has the latest.
We won't go back! We won't go back! Dueling protests outside the Supreme Court Thursday. The court, powered by its conservative majority, ended the use of race-based affirmative action in college admissions.
It means that you cannot explicitly use race as a factor in admissions.
Writing for the majority, Chief Justice John Roberts said admissions policies at Harvard University and the University of North Carolina violated the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause, saying in part, the student must be treated based on his or her experiences as an individual, not on the basis of race. In a scathing dissent, liberal Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first black woman on the court, wrote, with let them eat cake obliviousness, the majority pulls the ripcord and announces colorblindness for all by legal fiat. The cases were brought by conservative activist Edward Bloom's Students for Fair Admissions, arguing the schools discriminated against white and Asian applicants like Calvin Yang.
It is my hope to see a renewed college admission system that recognizes and rewards the multifaceted talents and diverse perspective that each individual can bring to the table.
Chief Justice Roberts wrote that universities can still consider the discussion of how race affected an applicant's life, say, in an essay. A notion, though, that Justice Sotomayor called nothing but an attempt to put lipstick on a pig. President Biden slammed the ruling.
This is not a normal court.
While Republicans praised the decision as ending discrimination. Jared Hill, CBS News.
President Biden says he directed the Department of Education to develop guidelines for how schools can consider race while working within the law. The justices noted that this ruling does not impact race-based affirmative action in U.S. military academies. KOAM reached out to both Missouri Southern and Pitt State to learn how Thursday ruling might impact their admissions, but we have not heard back yet from PSU. In a statement released Thursday evening, Missouri Southern says, in part, quote, while the university is carefully reviewing the decision to better understand its scope, we do not believe Missouri Southern, its policies, practices, or students will be directly impacted by this ruling. And by the way, don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone, free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Freeman Hospital gives high school students a unique experience this summer. Freeman Health Academy includes job shadowing, CPR certification, treatment scenarios, and more. This teaches the students healthcare and patient care, all while allowing them to experience the career path they desire.
I think it's a good portal into the medical field because like the shows aren't really that good, and if you don't have a family member in the medical field, it's hard to see exactly how it functions from the inside, and this program is a good way to get a view at that to see if it's really what you want to do with your life.
Freeman serves many schools in the community, including Joplin, Webb City, Carl Junction, Seneca, McDonough County, and more. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in your first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, how to stay safe while enjoying holiday fireworks.
Safety experts say leave the elaborate fireworks to the pros this 4th of July. I'm Skyler Henry with a look at just how dangerous the celebrations can be.
Plus, summertime means many students have been enjoying their time away from school, but a military school on the East Coast just opened its doors to America's next generation of naval service men and women. And Chloe returns with another look at your forecast and just how long the 4 states can expect to have these triple-digit temperatures hanging around. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Health Watch, Nation Watch this morning. A heavily armed fugitive was arrested Thursday in former President Barack Obama's Washington, D.C. neighborhood. Metro Police and federal officers charged Taylor Tarrento with being a fugitive from justice. He had an open arrest warrant in connection with the U.S. Capitol attack on January 6, 2021. On Thursday, Tarrento caught the attention of law enforcement when he claimed on the internet live stream he had a detonator. He was found with numerous firearms and materials to make a Molotov cocktail. The FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force is investigating. An investigation is underway in Wisconsin after police say an officer shot an intoxicated man walking around with a loaded rifle. It happened Thursday after officers responded to a call about the man. They tried to talk him into dropping the rifle. He refused. The situation escalated and the man started to point the rifle at the officers. One officer fired a single shot, striking the man. He was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries, and the officer was not injured. The U.S. military is marking the 50th anniversary of the end of the draft and the start of all-volunteer force on Saturday. The shift happened on July 1st, 1973. It happened when Richard Nixon campaigned on ending the draft. As president, he set up a commission on what would be needed to create a successful all-volunteer force. The Gates Commission concluded an all-volunteer force, rather than a combination of volunteers and draftees, would better serve the nation's interests. To commemorate the milestone, Defense Secretary Lord Austin will swear in about 100 new recruits in Maryland next week. Nearly 1,200 incoming freshmen, or plebes, reported to the U.S. Naval Academy on Thursday. I-Day is known as the beginning of a demanding 6-week period, one that the class of 2027 is eager to begin. Ricky Zizaza has more.
You can feel it all around. Induction Day jitters at the U.S. Naval Academy.
I'm a little nervous, but I'm super excited.
Parents and guardians saying goodbye early Thursday morning in Annapolis.
I have no words, honestly. I am ecstatic, I'm proud, sad maybe a little bit, but more excited.
Sons and daughters about to begin an indoctrination period called Plebe Summer.
This has been probably about a 6-year dream coming to fruition for our son.
In this sea of carefully selected students, the U.S. Naval Academy will transform all these young men and women from civilians into fourth-class midshipmen.
Training begins today, and they're going to learn the requirements, both moral, physical, and mental, that are going to be demanded upon them for their 47 months here at the Academy.
Captain Luis Gonzalez says the first day is the first step in becoming a midshipman. These incoming plebes crisscrossing the yard and cycling through medical examinations, uniform fittings, haircuts, and administrative processing.
Feels great. It's a great morning. It's beautiful. It's a great day out in the yard.
Before their final goodbyes to family, the class of 2027 will take the oath of office in front of their families and new classmates who will not see them again till August.
It's the next step in the journey, and I'm very proud and pleased to be a part of it.
The Pentagon's current press secretary, Pat Ryder, said over the years, people have joined America's armed forces out of conviction and not compulsion, and to be a part of something bigger than themselves. That's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chloe with a look at your forecast.
Thanks so much, Amber. Here's a look at our heat advisories across the board. These are in effect until 7 p.m. this evening. We've got triple digits to keep in mind today. We've seen them this past week and we'll continue to see them today, but thankfully we'll see a little bit of a cool down heading into tomorrow. Another thing to keep in mind, the UV index, pretty significant. 10 minutes is your burn time outdoors heading into this afternoon. Our UV index is 11, which is on the rather extreme side, so make sure that you're getting your sunglasses and your sunscreen handy if and when needed. Thank you. Coming up in a bit, we're going to talk about the rest of the day. The forecast, including the temperatures heading into this afternoon when we'll see a cool down, chances for storms heading into this weekend. I'll give you your 4th of July forecast. That's all coming up next.
Flooring Expo at Johnson Floor.
Homeless.
Well, welcome back. Thanks for joining us on this Friday morning at 6:18. Bright and squirrely heading into this morning. We've already started those warmer temperatures, and we're going to continue to see those on the rise. This is our last alert day. Our forecasted high 100 degrees, heat index values upwards of 105 to 110 heading into this afternoon. So it's going to feel very toasty outside. Make sure you're staying hydrated and staying away from the sunshine as much as you possibly can, and limit your time outdoors if at all possible. Heat alerts, heat advisories across the board until 7 p.m. this evening. Once again, this is our last alert day, so we'll see a cooling trend heading into this weekend. Not much by any means, a good 10 degrees cooler on average, but it's something that we can take, because temperatures have been very warm across the board the past couple of days. Temperatures right now hanging around in the 70s, mid to upper 70s, 78 for Joplin, Stockton 76, Chanute, you're at 79 degrees, Miami 75, Veneta 77 degrees right now. So we're starting to slowly inch up into the upper 70s, and then we'll eventually get into the 80s and 90s. 89 degrees by 10 a.m. and then 11 a.m. Around lunchtime, we'll see those temperatures dip into the 90s, 92 by 11. We'll be mostly clear. We won't see much in the way of cloud coverage, except for maybe in the mid-morning hours. We'll see a couple cumulus clouds here and there, but aside from that, really nothing significant, and no precipitation today, unfortunately, because we'll see those warmer temperatures continue to skyrocket. 100 degrees for your high today for Joplin. We'll see temperatures in the 90s in the afternoon and evening hours. Once again, nothing in the way of cloud coverage. We'll see some partly cloudy skies into the afternoon and evening hours. Planning your evening, temperatures in the 70s, upper 70s, which is a good change from what we saw yesterday. Our last night's low was in the 80s, so we're getting that cooling trend down, thankfully, not by much by any means, but we'll continue to see that track. So this weekend, we'll have a chance for a couple isolated showers here and there. We'll see the strong jet stream push through, southwesterly winds, cloud coverage, and then that rain will pass through. So we'll see some much needed rainfall with this, none of which is severe, nothing to worry about. But heading into Sunday morning, we'll clear out, temperatures up into the upper 80s to lower 90s, so a good change from what we saw this past week and even into today. Here's a look at the UV index. A whopping 11 for your UV index. It's pretty extreme, so the burn time, 10 minutes. Across the board, we'll see a chance for rain heading into your 4th of July on Tuesday. Nothing severe at that point and nothing significant. We'll come back right after the break.
Topping Health Watch this morning, an estimated 2 million Americans have hepatitis C, but the CDC says just a third have received a breakthrough treatment that cures the disease, which can cause deadly liver cancer. The medication can cost tens of thousands of dollars, and those without insurance or who are younger or even less likely to receive it. The Biden administration has proposed spending billions to provide access to treatment to eliminate Hep C nationwide. Artificial intelligence may be better than humans at detecting heart attacks. That's according to a new study at the University of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which tested an AI tool that spots heart attacks in electrocardiograms. Researchers say AI can detect subtle clues that are difficult for human clinicians to catch. It could help doctors determine more quickly whether chest pain is in fact a cardiac arrest. And could hitting the gym help you avoid Alzheimer's disease? A new study says it is possible. UK researchers examined data from thousands of people and found that higher levels of lean muscle mass were associated with a modest reduction in risk for Alzheimer's. Other studies have linked obesity to higher risk for the disease, possibly because fat has higher levels of protein that are harmful to brain health. Americans love to celebrate the 4th of July with family, food, and friends, and the fireworks. Can't forget about that. The Consumer Product Safety Commission wants everyone to celebrate safely, reinforcing it's best to leave the pretty displays to the professionals. Skylar Henry spoke with a Tennessee man who is warning others about the dangers.
My bones were broken.
This 4th of July holiday marks 1 year since Josh Beal was severely injured when a firework malfunctioned.
As soon as I lit the fuse, it went off. I mean, I couldn't even move. And it took the whole top of my hand off. And it got my ear.
There was blood everywhere.
Josh spent 8 days in a trauma center and needed 3 extensive surgeries.
It's the worst thing I've ever been through.
He had some really bad PTSD, and I think it was the dark, because all that happened in the dark.
New data from the Consumer Product Safety Commission shows more than 10,000 fireworks-related injuries last year, 73% during the month around the 4th of July holiday. 11 people died.
The most common injuries were caused by firecrackers, sparklers, and mortars.
This demonstration shows how devastating injuries can be.
If you are going to have fireworks, light them one at a time on a flat surface. Have a bucket of water just in case there's a problem. Never relight a dud.
I would say I have anywhere from 75 to 80% of my strength back.
The Beals want others to know even if you take every precaution like they did, things can go wrong.
I hope if anything out of all this, I can save somebody this year or make somebody think twice about being safer about fireworks. I would not want anybody to see somebody go through what I went through.
It's a great holiday and we love for what it stands for, but leave the pyro shows to the professionals.
That is the safest way to enjoy fireworks on the 4th. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Of the nearly dozen fireworks deaths reported last year, the victims range from 11 to 43 years old. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
This is our last alert day of the week, thankfully, so our last day of triple-digit temperatures, but keep in mind, we still have those heat advisories throughout the rest of the day. Coming up in a bit, we're going to talk about the full forecast, including the chances for rain this weekend, and even your 4th of July forecast. That's all coming up in a bit.
Right now at 6:30, summertime doesn't mean school's out for everyone, as Crowder College hosts an Upward Bound Summer Academy program for some area high school students.
We still have hot temperatures underway with heat advisories across the board. I'll have all of the details.
So the end of an era comes crashing down with a bang as crews demolish the Asbury coal plant. KOAM Fernanda Silva takes us to the site where the power plant stood for more than 50 years.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:30. I'm Amber Jenkins.
And I'm Chloe Arroyo. Well, can you believe that we're already almost halfway through the year? Or over halfway at this point.
It went by pretty fast, honestly.
It went by so fast, and those temperatures really ramped up really quickly heading into June. I think once we stepped in the month of June, that's when those temperatures really began to rise. Here is our last alert day of the week. Thankfully, speaking of those hot temperatures, our forecasted high 100 degrees, but those heat index values, it's going to feel upwards of 105 to 110 degrees outdoors. Here's where those heat advisories are. We had an excessive heat warning for northeast Oklahoma yesterday. There's a little on the warmer side over there, but thankfully we've downgraded to a heat advisory, but still nothing to dismiss with those warmer temperatures. Right now we're hanging around in the upper 70s across the board. Miami 75, Lamar 77, Stockton 76, Fort Scott you're at 77, 76 for Welch, Veneta at 76 as well. So we're slowly starting to increase, and it's still pretty early. At 6:30 in the morning, we're seeing temperatures nearing the 80s. By 8 a.m., we'll see 82 degrees, and we'll continue to continue to increase with those temperatures. 92 degrees by 11 a.m., and we'll continue to see that trend. 100 degrees, like I said, for your forecasted high for Joplin. So the majority of our viewing area will see temperatures in the triple digits. Coming up in a bit, we're going to talk about the chance for some precipitation heading into Saturday and a little bit on Sunday. I'll also have your 4th of July forecast. That's all coming up here in a bit.
Thanks, Chloe. The hunt for a Newton County man has ended. Authorities have been looking for this man, Sean England, who was wanted for first-degree assault and felony armed criminal action. On June 10th, court documents show England assaulted a victim with a baseball bat and wounded the individual as he fired a weapon. Authorities considered England as armed and dangerous. Yesterday, the Newton County Sheriff's Office announced that England has been taken into custody. No further information has been provided at this time. According to a recent study by the CDC, more than 1 in 5 LGBTQ youth attempted suicide in the past year. It's a national stat that hits close to home. Luke Nugent was a teen from Carl Junction. Those closest to Luke says he was bullied because of his sexuality. It's been 10 years since Luke took his own life, but his friends and family still feel his impact. Seeing Luke's influence after all these years makes his mom proud.
It gives me hope that love like Luke gave is really a lasting impact on people that they carry for the rest of their lives, even if he's not in their life anymore, you know, and it will forever inspire them to spread that kind of love too.
I feel like it's more accepted now to be a part of the LGBTQ community like he was, but I feel like everyone's not accepting it, so there's still some outside voices.
Luke Nugent's mother says promoting the importance of calling the 988 suicide hotline when times are hard. A quick series of blasts and Southwest Missouri fixture for more than half a century falls to the ground as a crew employs the Asbury power plant. KOAM Fernanda Silva has the story.
Authorities say the blast safely brought down one power plant, one air pollution control system building, and 2 original concrete and brick stacks in less than 20 seconds. Commissioned in 1970, the Asbury power plant was removed from service in March 2020, but only now, more than 3 years later, it was imploded.
It didn't make too much noise, number one, but it was just neat to watch it, something close. You see that on TV or on movies or something, and I've never seen one up front like that. It was just exciting.
Now during the summer, the area will be cleaned to be ready for its next use. The steel that is now on the ground will be cut and recycled.
You know, the Asbury plant will live on somewhere. It may live in hundreds of different places in the future.
Even though Sean Rooney was very pleased about how the implosion came out, the director of strategic projects for Liberty also had a feeling of nostalgia.
From start to finish, I mean, time kind of slowed down for me for a little bit. I actually worked at that facility for almost 7 years of my career. Bittersweet day for me, and I know for a lot of other people.
Dale Jasonbeck also decided to go watch the implosion after working on the plant every spring and fall for 15 years.
It's been here 50 years. It's part of the countryside. So it's, you know, it's kind of sad, I guess, but, you know, it's part of change.
Jennifer Short also shared a similar feeling as her dad worked for the local railroad delivering coal to the plant.
It is a part of our history. It's how we generated electricity for a long time, and it's an old way of generating electricity and bringing in a different way.
Energy that's used in the area comes from the Southwest Power Pool. Our wind farms feed into that same pool that the Asbury power plant did.
But the environmental liability is just one of the reasons why the Asbury power plant was imploded.
Structure that large requires a great deal of maintenance, you know. You find that when a building is no longer continuously occupied like it once was, you know, things begin to deteriorate.
In Asbury, Missouri, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
The Asbury power plant was replaced in part by the North Fork Wind Farm, which is within sight of northeast of the Asbury plant. Liberty Utilities say that Asbury employees had the opportunity to transition to a new role within the company, and many of them took the positions supporting their new wind farms. A Joplin tech company gives people a glimpse into the future. Automated technology company today hosted a Smart City Symphonium. It featured industry experts from different companies discussing new tech innovations designed to improve the everyday lives of residents.
Smart city really is a random term, but Joplin, we look at how we can become more efficient as a community, as a city, make it easier for our citizens to live, play, and work in Joplin.
The Joplin Family Worship Center hosted the free symphonium. And another symphonium, this one at Crowder College in Neosho, showcases student research projects. It's a part of the Upward Bound Summer Academy program. The projects were part of 16 different classes, ranging from crime scene investigation to agriculture to graphic design. Officials say the academy gives high school students valuable skills.
History isn't always what we think it is. Sometimes it could just be up to a person to think about what they can think really whatever they want. We learned that the main difference is the past is what actually happened. History is what we interpret it based on the evidence we have available to us.
Upward Bound officials say they serve 300 students from 37 high schools in Southwest Missouri. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News.
Hey.
Plus,
we've got some heat alerts.
Plus, you're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, AAA expects more than 50 million people to travel during the long holiday weekend, and most will go by car. The group says drivers are in for a treat. Lower gasoline prices across most of the country. The national average for a gallon of gas fell 4 cents since last week to $3.54. The number of holiday flyers is expected to see a sharp gains compared to last year, but the rush comes as airlines recover from a series of storms that delayed tens of thousands of flights and forced the cancellation of several thousand more flights since last weekend. United Airlines has been hit hard, canceling about 14% of its flights on Thursday. And mailing a letter is about to cost a bit more. The price of a first-class U.S. stamp will rise by 3 cents to 66 cents on July 9th. The Postal Service announced the move in April, making it the third first-class stamp price increase since 2019. The money-losing federal agency is on a 10-year plan aimed at becoming profitable. An unusually warm winter devastated the state's annual harvest by more than 90%, leaving farmers and consumers out in the cold. Mark Strassman heads to the heart of peach country.
In the Peach State, naturally you eat peach cobbler. But at Atlanta's Silver Skillet restaurant,
Everything okay? We're either using canned peaches or we're having to do fresh frozen.
Georgia's fresh peaches are expensive and scarce. Lawton Pearson, a fifth-generation peach farmer, showed us why.
You've got peaches here, and that variety has nothing.
Not one?
Not a single peach. That's the way 95% of the farm looks.
His 1,500-acre peach crop is a lemon.
They're all my buddies. They all died, and now I got to deal with it.
Pearson's losing an annual challenge. It's something called chill hours. His Georgia peaches, always a diva fruit, generally need 850 hours under 45 degrees Fahrenheit to blossom. This year's crop, with climate change, had about 700 chill hours.
Starting in 2016, it's like we fell off a cliff. The average is about the minimum we need to have a good crop.
Yeah, but no margin for error.
That's right. We got to come up to the average every year, and we can't adapt without new varieties.
Dario Chavez is trying to breed a better peach.
Each one of these is actually a pit from the fruit that we harvest from a cross that we made.
At the University of Georgia, his peach team is matchmaking slivers from the pits of different varieties. Their goal, a peach more resilient to Georgia's changing climate.
Here we're looking at a high chill variety of peaches.
But all good breeding takes time, and Georgia is running out.
It actually takes decades.
The short answer, you're working on it.
We're working on it.
Continuing to grow peaches, it's potentially a risk.
Yeah, it is potentially a risk.
In his groves of unfruited trees,
Those were killed, but they didn't have the decency to fall off.
Lawton Pearson worries about his family's future in peach farming.
You really start to question whether this is a viable enterprise.
A challenge both economic and existential. Georgia, the no peach state. For Eye on America, Mark Strassman in Peach County, Georgia.
That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chloe with another look at your forecast.
We've got another alert day today. Heat advisories across the board in effect until 7 p.m. We also have a chance for some showers this weekend. I'll have the full update, including your 4th of July forecast, all coming up in a bit. All right, you know what time it is. It is the best part of the morning. It is time for birthdays. It's starting with Addison Ensminger from Moran, Kansas. Happy first birthday. That is incredible.
And we got Luke Winson turning 10 in Baxter Springs. Happy birthday, Luke.
Next, we have Kira Dunham from Galesburg, Kansas, with love from your mom and Shannon. Remember to grin and bear it when you get your tattoo today. Oh, how exciting.
Stephanie McConnell is celebrating in Carthage, Missouri today.
And the icon herself, Betty White, 90 today from Columbus, Kansas. Happy birthday from your church family.
And I will raise you one more. Ruby Wright is celebrating 91 in Columbus, Kansas. Maybe they know each other. Maybe they could celebrate together.
Oh, maybe they can. You know, that's awesome. Happy 45th anniversary to Mike and V Tuba. They are from Carthage, Missouri. Happy anniversary, you two.
And Larry and Frida Rogers is celebrating 60 years together. Congratulations.
We love. Happy birthday, Marilyn Pope, Peggy Jones, Carl, and Indigo, all 67. That is incredible.
And of course, you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. You can get special deals from local businesses. So go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You can also send your birthdays to the email, which is birthdayswirl@koam.newsnow.
Well, hopefully temperatures won't be too unbearable for all of those fun anniversaries and birthdays today. But unfortunately, it's our last alert day. But thankfully, at the same time, it is our last alert day of the week. Temperatures expected to get into the triple digits, 100 degrees for today. But the actual temperature is not what it will feel like. The heat index upwards of 105 to 110 degrees today. So we definitely have a heat advisory in effect for the majority of the viewing area, except for the further western counties, but it'll still be toasty, so treat it as so. These are in effect until 7 p.m. heading into this evening. Temperatures right now into the upper 70s across the board. We've got that southerly wind that is really ramping up those warm and humid temperatures. So not only will our temperatures increase, but our dew points will increase as well. Neosho 76, Stockton 77, Bella Vista 74, J 76, Chanute, you're hanging around at 79 degrees right now. So a lot of us nearing that 80-degree mark. By 8 a.m., most of us, if not all of us, will be in the 80-degree range, 82 by 8 a.m., and then we'll slowly but surely warm up into the upper 80s to lower 90s, 92 by 11 a.m. So around the lunchtime hours, we're going to head into the mid-90s. So if you have those outdoor plans, make them short-lived so you can stay hydrated and stay cool as much as possible. We don't want to get heat exhaustion or heat stroke throughout the afternoon. Temperatures in the lower 100s, thankfully not the upper 100s, triple digits for us today. We'll be in the 90s for the majority of the day, and then the evening will cool down just a hair into the 70s, upper 70s for your low, 77 for Joplin, heading into the 80s by the time we get to 10 p.m., 86 degrees. So we'll stay warm for quite a while, but not only will we stay warm, we're also going to see that UV index creep up on us, 11 for our UV index. So the burn time as little as 10 minutes. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're getting that shade as quickly as possible. Stay hydrated as well. We'll have a chance for some relief heading into tomorrow. Tomorrow morning we'll wake up to that strong southerly wind, southwesterly wind, and then we'll see those storms begin to push through. They'll push through really quickly. Heading into the afternoon hours, clouds will begin to dissipate into the evening hours on Saturday, leaving us us with clear skies Sunday morning, temperatures in the upper 60s, and then we'll cool down just a little bit. Our highs will be in the upper 80s to lower 90s across the board on Sunday. Monday will also be pretty calm as well. We'll start to see a cooling trend. Thankfully, that'll be pretty soon here. Now, another thing to keep in mind is your 4th of July. We won't have a clear day by any means, but we'll have some chances for some isolated storms. Nothing to cancel your plans by any means. But with that being said, we'll still have a chance for storms on Tuesday and Wednesday. So if you have those outdoor plans, don't cancel them. But just keep in mind, have that plan B just in case so you guys can still enjoy all of the festivities. On the 4th of July, we'll see temperatures dip down into the upper 80s for your high extending into the rest of this week. That will be the rest of the forecast for the week. Thankfully, we'll cool down quite a bit. We've got to check on the news here in a bit. I will hand that back right out to Amber.
Hello to you, I'm Gail King. Coming right up on CBS Mornings, David Begnaud shows us the true meaning of compassion and keeping that message alive. He talks with the friends and family of a man who inspired the Compassion Bench in a California city. That's coming right up on CBS Mornings.
Hero.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out that door. According to a recent study by the CDC, more than 1 in 5 LGBTQ youth attended suicide last year. It's a national statistic that hits close to home. Luke Nugent was a teen from Carl Junction. Those closest to Luke says he was bullied because of his sexuality. It's been 10 years since Luke took his own life, but his friends and family still feel his impact. Seeing Luke's influence after all these years make his mom proud. A Pittsburgh child welfare agency celebrated Family Reunification Month. On Thursday, TFI hosted a pinwheels planting ceremony. The pinwheels are yellow in honor of Family Reunification Month, which recognizes efforts to help families stay together in the foster care. The Carter School District announced a $2.5 million donation to build a new baseball stadium. The district's old stadium was declared unsafe by the city's engineer in February. KD and ML Steadley Trust Bank of America is donating the money for the new stadium. The district will receive $500,000 installments over the next 5 years. The new stadium will be on the northeast corner of the high school campus. A construction schedule has not yet been finalized. And after a quick series of blasts, a Southwest Missouri fixture for more than half a century falls to the ground. On Thursday morning, a crew employed at the Asbury power plant with almost 1,700 pieces of dynamite and explosives. Authorities say the blast safely brought down one power plant, one air pollution control system building, and 2 original concrete and brick stacks in less than 20 seconds. During the summer, the area will be cleaned to prepare for its future use. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And speaking of heading out the door, make sure that you stay cool heading into today. This is our last alert day of the week, but we'll still have a chance for some rain into Saturday and Sunday, and then we'll have some chances for rain on Tuesday on your 4th of July as well, but nothing significant.
Looking pretty good. I'm excited for the 4th though. Hopefully the rain doesn't mess with any plans.
It shouldn't, but let's hope.
Coming up today at noon, we're making backyard bean bake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. The Women's World Cup kicks off next month. Coming up on CBS Mornings, an inside look at the team that's trying to make history.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, we're taking a look at a brand new Harry Potter game for your phone and mobile device.
Plus, don't know if you like pumpkin or not, but we've got the perfect Friday story for you about the power of pumpkin and its effect on a puppy. But that'll wrap it up for now. We will see you back here. We'll see you back here Monday morning. I didn't even think about the fact that it's the weekend already. Wow. And we'll see you again today at noon.
See you then.